Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, this period of time, something is wrong with them. It seems to be a very serious time. And Mevakshei Hashem brings down that the Ari himself would cry a lot during tefillah on Rosh Hashanah. There's a lot of tears, a lot of b'chia. But b'chia, tears, crying, doesn't necessarily mean, and it shouldn't necessarily mean, sadness. It doesn't have to be sadness. Tears the Pasuk says in Nehemiah, Al tisablu v'al tipchu chum mashmanim v'shum atakim. Rosh Hashanah is not a time of crying. Al tipchu. AriZal what did cry? Derech Agav the Gra didn't cry on Rosh Hashanah. The Gra says that it's a mitzvah to Tkiyah Shofar, you're not allowed to cry. Dafka to do with Besimcha. But we know for Chassidish Rabbis and Gedolim Dafka min Ameitza Lamerchav, there's a lot of tears. So what is Taka the idea of Rosh Hashanah? To understand a little what Rosh Hashanah is. So the Kisva AriZal, they want to try to understand the nimshal of the mashal, understand the interpretation of the metaphor. In Kisva AriZal, it talks about a bechina which is acher ba'acher, ava, back to back, where, say first the oisius, where tiferes, which is zoyrampin, and malchus. So that's Kutcher Brichu, in Knesset Yisrael also, that Tiferes and Malchus were in a state of Yichud, in a Bechina of Acher Ba'acher, back to back. When there's a Yichud of Acher Ba'acher, it's a Zivuk Tmidi, it's always connected, they're always connected. Then there's the Nesira. The Nesira is where there's a sawing apart, there's a separation, which means that the moichin, in the language of the AriZal, chayus is moichin. When Ari wants to say that something has a chiyus, something has a life, pshat it has moichin. Moichin is the chiyus, moichin is like the intelligence. And Kisha Lodas, the idea of the moichin gives chayas. So when the chayas, the life force of, first let's understand the oisius of Tiferes, which is Chacham bin Adas, the spheres that come before Chabad, that come before Tiferes, before Zoh. When the chiyus leaves it, then Tiferes and Malchus are no longer misyachid, they're no longer in a state of yichud, and they start separating. When they start separating, there is a big possibility for yinika l'chitzonim, because when two things are attached together, the yinika of chitzonim, which we'll understand what this means also in a few minutes, the yinika chitzonim can only happen when and through bechinas acharayim, from the back, but when it's acher ba'acher, so ki'ilu, there's no mocker, there's no source for yinika l'chitzonim, because the back to back is touching, it's gav al gav, so there's no possibility for yinika. There's no possibility for the chitzonim to draw koyach, to draw strength. But when there's the nesira, so the back to back are now separating from each other. That's when there could be a big yinika l'chitzonim, and that's when it's a zman din. It's a time of judgment, because it's a severing. There's a separation between Tiferes and Malchus, This is the tardema. This is mashal of a person going to sleep, and their moichin is nostalgic. Their intelligence leaves them when they're sleeping. They're not conscious. And the kavana is that Malchus, who was before in a state of acher ba'acher, should become an independent partzuf. It should gain its full own moichin. It should draw moichin from a higher place in Bina. And then when Malchus becomes independent, then it could be a relationship that's called panim al panim. This is the kavana. And the idea of blowing the shofar is when a person blows the shofar, I'm just giving the oisius, now understand what this means. That when a person blows the shofar, they're drawing down moichin. Bekitzer, tkiya, shvarm, trua, the three types of sounds of the shofar correspond also, according to the Medrash, to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes. And the makar of Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes is Chachma, Bina, and Das. So when your person draws down, blows the shofar, they're drawing down moichin of Chachma, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes into Tiferes. The person himself, the Bala Tekeah, is also holding a shofar. So he's doing the Tekiah Lamata, below. He's taking a karen, which is a chalal, an empty horn, which is a doimim at this point. It's inanimate. And when a person blows, what they're doing is, when a person blows, you're blowing with heat. When you blow, the heat comes out, there's vapor, and there's wind. So heat, vapor, and wind is eish, mayim, and ruach. So when a person is blowing eish, mayim, and ruach, fire, wind, and water, they're actually blowing into the shofar, which is a doimim, which is offer. At this point, it has no life, it doesn't have no chiyas. They're taking a karen up, and they're blowing in chayas, and they're creating a sound. So the eish, mayim, ruach is now enlivening the offer, and now this has chiyus. So malchus is the actual inanimate object, the doimim, the shofar himself. Huh? Yeah, it comes from Balchai, but now it's not Alchai. Yeah. Now it doesn't have chiyus. It's cut off from the chiyus. Anything that stops living is offer. Al offer ata, offer tashuv. So once the chiyus is leaving, it's already beginning offer. And then, so there's two things happening. Malchus is getting chiyus, is becoming an independent, and tiferes. So there's a shofar in l'mayla and a shofar in l'mata. You're blowing a shofar in l'mata Malchus, and you're bringing the chiyus of eish, mayim, ruach, and that's bringing a chiyus into the offer, which is Malchus getting new life. And the same thing also, kaviyachol, there's a response l'mayla, that also there's a chiyus now chadasha, which is through chesed, gevurah, tiferes, chacham, bina, das. Now this comes down to tiferes, so it becomes a chiyus. Now tiferes and malchus can be misyachad in a yichud shlim. They can come back together and be unified. But now the yichud is ponim al ponim, face to face.
When does the chai going to the malchus?
B'shas blowing the shofar.
Before the yichud or b'shas?
No, while you're blowing the shofar, you're bringing into the new chais.
Because the whole till Shmina Tzeres, no?
Warte sekunde. That's a good shaila. I'm so shaila. I'm going to explain it. I'm going to explain how can it be yichud, how can it be achavach. You're right. These are all good shailas. Your shaila I don't want to talk about now. It's a taka shaila that has to do with a certain problem that happened with the chet etzadas. That they didn't create this yichud until they did it on Friday. They should have done it on Shabbos. If they did it on Shabbos, then we wouldn't have the whole process. This is one thing. Another nakuda, another important thing to understand is that whatever happens, the AriZal writes this in the Rosh Hashanah, and also in the Drushim, in Shara Kavanos, in the Drushim on Drush Laila, Drush Gimel. The idea is that everything that happens in the parts of Hayomim also happens in the parts of Azmanim, which means everything that happens in a structure of time and throughout a calendar actually happens every single day. So Be'etzem, this Nakuda actually happens every single day. This acher ba'acher to panim upanim. Now we have to understand what this means. And behek them another marshal, and then we'll understand this. And then we'll understand a little bit what the oimek, what's the depth, talking what Rosh Hashanah is about. So in the Torah, in Perek Aleph, in Bereshis Bar Lakim, the Torah describes creation, the Bria, through the name of Elokim. Shem Havaya, the name of Hashem, Yudke Vovke, it does not appear in Bereshis and Perek Aleph. In Bereshis Perek Aleph, the Shem Elokim appears 32 times, Lavan Beis Pam. And everything is connected to the Shem Elokim. In Perek Beis, then it starts B'yom Yisois Hashem Elokim, where Hashem and Elokim, there's another koyach that's coming down to this world. B'chlal, generally, Elokim is connected to Midas Adin, judgment, restriction. Elokim, it's brought down in the Pardas, and it's brought down in other latest form, that Elokim is Gematria 86, which is Gematria Teva, the nature. So this is the one world. And the Kuzi writes also that the Elokim is Lashon Rabbim because it's the koyach that's shefea and mashpia in all the pratim and all the details of life, in the multiplicity, in the many, in this world. This is Elokim. It's one of the Eibish's names. That the Eibish is a moishel v'shoylot b'chol hakoyches. It's the Shem Elokim. Yeah, Berach. Then it's in Perek Beis is B'yom Yisois Hashem Elokim, which the idea of Yudke Vavke. What's the chiluk between these two creations, the two stories? Another difference between these two stories is that in the first story of the Bria, of the creation of the human being, it doesn't mention that this Bria, this Nivra, this creation receives a neshama. It doesn't speak about a neshama. But nefesh chaya. But nefesh chaya also speaks about chayas. Nefesh, the idea of a nefesh is also by chaya. It doesn't speak about neshama. Where does it say vayipach ba'apav nishmas chaim, that Hashem blew into his nostrils a breath of life, a koyach of a neshama, is dafka in Perek Beis in the second Perek. In Perek Aleph also, where it talks about the bria, the creation of the person, it says zachar v'nikeva boro isam, which means that nas adam kitzalmenu k'masenu zachar v'nikeva boro isam, which means that the person was created zachar v'nikeva, male and female. In the bria in Perek Beis, it doesn't say zachar v'nikeva boro isam fakert. It actually says loy tov v'yos adam levadai esla is a connectoi. It's not good for the man to be alone. We're going to create a being against him, an Eza that's going to be connected. Then Vayipal Hashem Tardeim al Adam, and then Hashem takes one of his aloisav and then creates another bria, which is Chava. So Chava in the bria of Perek Beis is created through Adam, from Adam, but in the bria of Perek Aleph, Adam and Chava are created together. So Chazal tell us a few places. It's Gemara in Erev, Gemara in Brachas, and it's many Midrashim. Now, what it is that B'tchila, the Bria, in the beginning of Adam, it was Adam and Chava were connected to each other, Ocher b'Ocher. They were attached to each other back to back. There was one being, one Nivra, one creation, and this creation, it's Rosh Hashanah or Shtegav and whatever, but there was one Metzias, there's one entity that had a Zachar and a Nekeva, half male, half Zachar, and half Nekeva, half female. This is the Bria in the first story. In the Bria in the second story, then there's a Zachar, and then the Nekeva is Nivra. What's the chiluk between these nekudas? What's the difference between these two things? Why Shem Elokim is Zachar and Nekeva Boro Yisrael, and why Shem Hashem is first Zachar and then Nekeva? So this is the difference between the idea of Acher ba'Acher and Panim u'Panim. this is what torahs HaMelech and the whole idea of Rosh Hashanah is. Rosh Hashanah is not, we don't celebrate Rosh Hashanah for the beginning of the Bria, beginning of creation. It's not why we celebrate Rosh Hashanah. We say Takazeh Yom Tchilas Ma'asecha, but Rosh Hashanah is the Bria Sa'adam, not the Bria Ha'olam, but it's the Bria of the human being. The Bria Sa'adam is on Rosh Hashanah, on Aleph Tishrei.
Thursday was Chafayel.
Chafayel, correct. Okay, so this is the difference between the Chiluk between Rabbi Lezer and Rishua, if it's Menissan Ivrael, Matisha Ivrael, but we'll get to that in 1 second. But the Nekuda is that when we talk about the Yom Rosh Hashanah, it's actually the Yom Bria Sa'adam. So why do we celebrate Yom Bria Sa'adam, not Yom Bria Sa'olam, the day that the world is created, not the day humans created? Because in the first creation, before the creation of the full human being, the connection between the boyer and the nivra was acher ba'acher. What's pshat acher ba'acher? Acher ba'acher means that the shefa, the chias that comes from tiferes, which is kutshabrichu, and malchus, which is the nivra, between the oyer and the kli, the shefa comes in the bechinas achoraim. What's bechinas achoraim in the backside? Bechinas achoraim means command the shav the basa katfe. It means, let's say a person is you have something that you have to deal with a person. So one thing is you have to deal with the person. You want to talk to him. You want to have a normal conversation. Sometimes you probably don't have patience with this person, but you need to deal with him. So you talk to him, but you're looking somewhere else. You're looking at your phone. You're looking somewhere else. You understand? That's a bechina that you have to give the guy. You have to give him what he needs, but you're not there. You're bechinas acharaim. So the shefa's coming. What has to be given is given, but it's bechinas acharaim. In the first nivra, the first creation of the human being, the entire bria was a bechina of acharaim. That it's baser Gabriel. It follows the lead of the boira. Everything in the world that's created, besides the Adam, everything in this world, a chayara and a chayim, a turuf, any type of thing that lives in this world, is doing exactly the Ritzoyin HaBoira. A zebra is doing exactly the will of the Eibishter. A lion is doing exactly the will of the Eibishter. One is hunting, one's being hunted, but that's exactly what the will of the Eibishter is. There's no pechira. There's no choice. It's whatever they were programmed. By the Boyer Oilam, they were programmed, this is what they have to do. This is what they do. The tree is treeing, and the lion is lining. And everyone's doing exactly what they have to be doing. The chias is coming to them, because the tree is a tree, and the lion's a lion, so the chias is coming to them. But their relationship between the boyer and the nivra is acher ba'acher. They're attached. There's a zivuk tamidi. They're never separated. There can't be a separation. There's no pechir to separate. They're always attached. They're always attached. The makabel is always attached to the mashpia. But the mashpia is not really interested in the makabel because it's not a relationship. The makabel didn't choose to receive from the mashpia. The makabel is receiving from the mashpia because it's acher ba'acher. They're attached. There's no other option. This is the bria sa'adam in a bechina of Shem Elokim. What's Shem Elokim? Shem Elokim is Ateva, the nature. In the natural world, up until Vayipach Ma'av Nishmas Chaim, the human being was basically a nivra that's created and programmed like anything else. Was? He's what he is. That's it. A lion is a chesor na mile. There's no chesor, there's no miles.
So why is that?
What's that?
It's not a loose man, it's not a...
There's no lost man of challah. Wait a second, but it's not, the chesoron is not only mitzad the makabel. The mashpia is not interested in the makabel. When they say that, what's the chiluk between the Eibush he's saying, between melech and a moishel? Yeah, on Rosh Hashanah we have to be mamlich. It has to be Amlochas HaMelech, torahs HaMelech. What's the difference between a moishel, a dictator, and a melech? A melech, the property of a melech is a melech b'lo yam, which means there's no king without subjects, but the subjects desire to have a king. So Tasma Lachem Melech, he desired. They came to Shmuel Navi and they said we want a king. There's a ratzon of the people to want a melech, and when they have this ratzon, they subjugate them to the ratzon HaMelech, but they want it. Mamshala is a person is more powerful than you, stronger than you, and says, "I want you to do exactly what I tell you to do. Not that I don't care about you, but I need this thing to happen, and you're just a puppet, and I need you to do this for me." And I'm a dictator. That's from Shalom. The way the Bria is, before the Bria saw Adam, in Perik Beis, which means before the Nivra has this koyach, the koyach of Vayipach Vav Nishmas Chaim, he's part of Shem Elokim. He's part of the Acher B'Acher relationship. It's always present, but there's no real relationship. What did the Eibishter want? The Eibishter wanted, the Ratzon Hashem was that Tamnechuni Amleichem, that there should be torahs HaMelech, that should be Makal Malchusay. What does it mean, the Makal Malchusay? That there should be a being that has Pechira, just like Eza Kenegda means. That the second, Chava was a person, was Adam, was Panim upon him. The problem with Panim upon him is that it's not Zivuk Tmidi. It's not guaranteed that the person is going to stand in front of you. Is Zacha, is Eza, Loi Zacha is Kenegda. Because if you're standing in front, you can move away. But if you're attached to me in the back, you can't move anywhere. But if you're a lion, you're always attached to the shefa, and it's not shy to do anything that's different. And there's no b'chir, but you're always attached. There's no desire there. There's no cheshek kaviyachol of the Eibusha to create this. It has to be because that's part of the bria, but there's no cheshek there because that's not the intention. The intention is not for that relationship. The intention is not for the acher ba'acher. The intention eventually is to get to panim upanim, because panim upanim could be something that's real, both mitzad mashpia and mitzad mekabel. But to get to that place of from acher ba'acher to panim upanim, that's the nesira. Vayipol tardem al Adam, that Adam went to sleep. Adam is midas hatiferes. Adam is kutshabrichu. Adam is midas hatiferes, as Zohar says. So what is Adam? That the Adam goes to sleep, and from the Adam now there's separation, and there's now a new partzuf. There's a full partzuf, and this partzuf is called Chava. In Lashon of the AriZal, that Shem Ma, the middle of Shem Ma is Adam, the middle of Shem Ma is 19, which is Chava. Which means that now they're two separate beings and they can have a relationship with each other. This is the kavanas. This is the kavanas of the whole bria. This is what Rosh Hashanah is about. So what is Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah is that the Eibusher wants that we should have a relationship with him, panim upon him, not achar ba'achar.
Why does the process of the Nesira make the emotion?
The Allah is Hamoichan of where? The Mechabel the Mashbiach.
It's how the whole being change the dark of the Neshama.
I'll must be in Oasis more in Chassidish Oasis. In the Oasis of the AriZal, it's not the Nasir creates the Moichan. It's the shofar creates the moichin, and the shofar is Tkiyah Shvar and Trua, which is Chassid Gvur Teferes and Chacham Ben Das, and that's how you join on the moichin. That's the Kavanah Saring B'chlolas, very, very B'chlolas. They joined on moichin in this. But there's something deeper over here, like this. I'll tell you from two ways. The Alter Rebbe writes in L'Kut Torah, Parshas Acharei, that what does it mean that through tshuva Hashem, tshuva alai, tshuva aleichem, that tshuva is a tshuva l'kadosh baruch hu. What does it mean that a person does an avera and he separates himself from the Eibishter, and he does tshuva and there's chazara? Less is upon him. What's pshat? Where can you go? What does it mean that you do an avera? You separate from the Eibishter. You separate yourself kaviyachol from the Boyer Olam, and then when a person does tshuva, you're chazara, you're returning. There's no way to leave, there's no way to return. You're always there. So the mashal would be, you could be sitting in the same room like a person, You can be living in the same room like a person for 20 years, but you never had a face-to-face relationship with this person. You could do exactly. We'll talk about this as a mashal in a marriage. So most of you are married there. You can be a good husband. You can take out the garbage when you have to. I don't know what the responsibilities are you have to do. Whatever you have to do, you do. But you never had a panim relationship. Panim relationship means that you're actually present for the other person. You're open to them. So you can be physically in the same place. You can actually be in the same. You could become. There's nowhere to leave the Eibish's presence. But we can be in the Eibish's presence in an acher b'acher relationship. Taka, I do the mitzvahs, I do everything. I'm mitzvah nashim l'mod, I do everything, but I don't feel you. I don't feel your presence. It's not a lekim chaim. I never really had an encounter with you. I never really felt your presence. I do everything you told me to do. I take out the garbage, I put on tefillin, I do everything you have to do. Panim means that I'm there, I'm present. In another way, in Look at the Maran, Nachum talks in Torah Kuf Ches, he writes that the idea is that he asks the Shaila about how does the Nesira create the Moichin? The Nesira is the din, is the time of judgment, it's the time of din, it's the time of separation. See, when you're in a state of acher ba'acher, but at least you're there. Okay, so it's not but at least you're attached. There's a famous mashal in the Rosh Hashanah that he brings down of a child that's learning how to walk. So the father takes the child and holds the child's hands and starts walking with the child. And then when the child starts walking a little bit stronger, the parent lets go of the child. So when the child is being held by his father's hand, his mother's hand, it's acher ba'acher. The child's not walking on its own. The child's walking. The father's walking. Not the child is walking. The parent is walking. But the kavanah of the parent is that the child should start walking. So what does the parent do? Let's go. What does it do in letting go? Letting go means I'm no longer attached to you, and now you have to build yourself. Now you have to grow. And how's the growing? The growing comes through the longing and the yearning. The Nesira creates, it's like an in-between state. It's like it's a yinuk, it's like a tardema. There's something missing. You're not who you used to be because you're not acher ba'acher. You're not having a panim because it's not pnei elikim. It's a living chiyas yet. But you desire, you want something. You're feeling something that's empty. You're feeling something that's missing. And that longing and that desiring, that's the coil of the shofar. In the hachasidus shoyes, yes. The coil of the shofar, the sound of the shofar, is the sound of a child longing and yearning to connect. What's shot really to connect? Connect means that they want to have a face-to-face relationship with the Eibusher. That's the building of the malchus that the Eibusher says, is not because it's just on its own, but now I want you to want it. And the only way I can want you to want it is if I'm going to have to separate from you. And I'm going to give you a koyach abchira, which is vayipach nishmas chaim. I'm going to give you a dimension of a neshama that actually comes from beyond Shem Elikim, beyond this world. Because if it's part of this world, then it's part of nature. There has no bchira. You're a puppet. You're created in the way you were. I'm going to give you something that's going to allow you to escape and to be transcendent and beyond your nature. And from that koyach, you're going to be able to choose your life. That's going to give you a koyach b'chira. That's going to make that you can have t'mchunei aleichem.
You're saying Avayda makes from
Chenesh.
Avayda.
Yeah.
That makes the
No, forget. No, we're not doing what? No, I'm saying that. Yeah, correct.
I'm saying there's no choice. You're doing the Torah Hashem the whole time.
So that's I'm just talking.
The
shefa's there.
There's no bechira.
You made a bechira. No, you made a bechira to choose not to be there. Yeah.
That you have no bechira. You're doing it like
correct.
A tree, like
Correct. And what?
So
No, Hanky, 1 second. The koyach bechira comes to Shem Hashem. The koyach habechira. When you choose to live this way, so taka, then you're achabacher.
But you're not doing the Ritson Hashem.
When a person is judged, it says that so all the chassidus form, all the musas form, ask the shaila. Okay, so it's a ruach shtus. So why are you responsible? A person is a shoyte, is bottom ramitzah. So what's the issue? What's the answer? The answer is you put yourself in that situation. Once you're in that situation, you have no b'chira. When a person's a bal avera, they're not judged for the averas. It's a very good averas. It's what you get into a rut, forget it. You're stuck.
So when dinim take over, you're not doing anything. It's
correct.
By itself.
It's there by itself.
That's what dinim means.
That's correct. That's correct. It's out of your control.
You're still doing the Ritson Hashem.
You put yourself in. Right? So you put yourself into a situation. This shefa is going to come to you. You made yourself a cockroach intentional. The shefa will come. The shefa will come. You're not going to be cut off. The shefa will come, but you should just know that the bechira was that the kuda, that point that you chose to live like a roach.
But the question is, in the beginning Hashem created, before Adam, Hashem created the olamot, the animals, and He gave him ba'achor.
Yes.
So why you created him, but when you don't want to give it to them?
Wait a second. That's another shayla. That's a good other. Yes, that's another question. That's another question. That's another question. The answer is what? That's another nukuda. That's another nukuda. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the thing when a person is in a bad rut. The taka is there's no b'chira. There's no b'chira. Once you're stuck into the pattern, there's no b'chira taka. Correct.
He's saying the chiyas comes the same way, but he is the Ritson Hashem.
No. Okay, we'll talk about this in a second. There's a lot of shilas that we have over here. That the ikar, I want to explain this point. The point is like this. This is a very good shilah. The Eibusha created a world that the human being, which has the koyach ha'pechira, will be a higher level. There'll be a doimim, tzemeach, a chayim, medaber, and Yehudi, nefesh Yehudi. There'll be something that'll be higher and higher. So in order to get to the place where there'll be a koyach of a neshama, first the Eibusha created a body, and the body is stuck like an animal. And then the Eibusha created Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara comes before, right? The Melech Zoch and Ksil, first the Yetzer Hara. And then afterwards, this is in time and in concept. That the Bria, the first Bria was Midas Adin, and then Shitav and Midas Arachmim. It's not like the Eibusha had a first desire to create Midas Adin, then he said, oops, I'm sorry, it didn't work out, let me create now Midas Arachmim. It means that there's a Bria in the way it's Kadmon, the way it exists in Midas Adin, and Midas Adin is Shem Elokim. In Shem Elokim, everything's exactly the way it is, and it's dinim. There's no rachamim. It's not there's no ashba. There's no shefa of rachamim in the world, because it's just what it is. And allocated certain koyches. It's not a higher madrega. It's a more simple madrega.
It's when Hashem wants to bring Hashem Havaya in it.
The whole tachlis abriya. The tachlis abriya is that we should be Shem Hashem.
But why says Rabbi Kiva was the Olam Elokim was a higher madrega?
That's something else. That's after a person passes on. That's halacha kibes shammai lost lavi. That's another nukud. That's another point. Because it comes from a madrega. That's another point. I don't want to get into this. That's another nukud. That's a darga where a person transcends his free choice. It's another. Huh? Correct. So we're talking about Rosh Hashanah, but that point is taka emes a point, which means that a person reaches such a madrega that they actually become it's butler there's actually no ratzon, so there's actually no bechira. That Moshe Rabbeinu reached the level there's no bechira. That's taka shem elikim. That's the higher madrega. Exactly. Correct. That's the end. But that's the kavanah at the end. In other words, I want you to want me so much. You understand? I want you to want me so much, and you have no choice. Why did Eibusha kafalim harki gigas on Matan Torah? Hashem said, I want you to accept the Torah with your own bechira so much, as if there's no alternative.
The difference is by your choice.
That's correct. You understand? To give up your choice. I want you so much that I don't have an alternative that I'm going to give you. That's correct. That's the whole nekuda.
They say we have enke paid and nishtamak.
Exactly. That's the same nekuda. Yet you're giving over all your choice to no choice. This is the Malkeinu. This is what Melech is. So when you think about Tamchuni Aleichem, and this is why I think this is also We have to think about that. We say that Rosh Hashanah is a Yom Oyim and Noira. What does the taka mean? Tamchuni Aleichem. What does the taka mean? In your own life, what does it actually mean that you say Tamchuni Aleichem? Everyone comes Hamelech Mishrait. What are you saying? What are you actually saying? What does it mean that you're Mamlich the Eibishter Haviyachol Melech Malcham Lachem? What does the taka mean? What does the taka mean? What does it mean that I'm saying that the Eibishter is the king and the master of the universe? Not somebody else's king. I'm talking about your king. What does it mean? What does it mean that the Eibishter is your king? So there's two things like this. There's Avinu and there's Malkeinu. And there's Avinu Malkeinu. But there's Avinu and there's Malkeinu. The Darga, the idea of Melech, Melech means, king means that you're a subject, you're an Eved. There's a plan. There's a purpose, and it's about fulfilling the kavanah. You have to. The king, Amar Malka Akatur, the king has a plan, and says, "I need this to happen." So I don't care how many people. I need 1,000 people to work for me. It's fine. Whatever. From day and night, I need this to happen for me. The king has the ratzon, and the subjects have have to submit to the ratzon of the king. The Av is a different type of relationship. Well, father, whatever, you your father tells you to do this. No, your father always loves you, whatever. It's a different thing. What does it mean? It means like this. That you say that Aborim Yoim Koydem Yitzias Avlad, that there's a bechin of Aborim Yoim Koydem Yitzias Avlad. What's Aborim Yoim Koydem Yitzias Avlad? So the in the Gemara, there's the machlokes between Rabbi and Yeshua if Benisan Nivra Olam or Betisha Nivra Olam. So Tosfos says the chiluk is it's Nivra Machshava or Bedivur. But the AriZal writes a little bit of different kavach. The AriZal says that it's a difference between the in a few different places he gives a different shyness. One is that it's a difference between the Bria Bechitzoynes Olamus or Bepnimis Olamus. That Bechitzoynes Olamus, an external aspect of the world, the Nivra was created. The Bria was created in Tishrei. The Pnimis was created in Nisan. Difference in Gufim and Neshamas. The Neshamas Yisrael were created after Nisan. And then this idea that it's also mechuber to this the same. It's connected to this idea, which is that Benisan and Tishrei is Hayom Haras Olam. Haras Olam means Hiroyim, that the world was pregnant, and the birth of the world is 6-7 months later, which is Nisan. No, Nisan. Tishrei say Hayom Haras Olam, right? So okay, it's a little different. Hayom Haras Olam is in Tishrei, and the birth, the Haladas Avlad is in Nisan, and that's consistent with Chazal that say the Lekacham Goy Mikarev Goy Ku'ubar Yotzev Mesav. So that idea that that Nisan was like the birth of Klal Yisrael, actually the Havlada. But it's only 6 months, so how does it go? What's the cheshbon? The cheshbon is like this. The Yitzias Avlad really starts, Aboim Yoim Koiden Yitzias Avlad. What is that Aboim Yoim Koiden Yitzias Avlad? It means, and that means, it doesn't mean Koiden that the Vlad becomes a Nivra, but Yitzias Avlad. The Yitzias Avlad actually happens 40 days after the moment of the Yichud, of the conception. So Aboim Yoim Kodim Yitzias Avlad means at the moment of conception. What's Aboim Yoim Kodim Yitzias Avlad from Chafei El? Tubav, Tesvav Av. So that the Tesvav Av is the haschala of the bria in the way of a fetus, of an embryo. I don't know how to say this in Moshe Kodesh, but I don't know if there's a word for this, but it's a bechina of ibur. That's not yet a Yitzias Avlad. Huh? Klitis Azer, but it's 40 days. So it's not
40 days before Haras.
Yeah,
which means
correct.
Yitzias Avlad.
That's correct. So the Yitzias Avlad happens. Hayom Haras Olam is what happening? Now the Vlad becomes a living fetus. And then it stays in this bechina of pregnancy, Ibur, through the months of the winter, which Bechal, according to the Kisvei AriZal, the months of the winter are actually pregnant. because nothing is life. You don't see the life of the world. Everything is still in a state of concealment. There's no trees, no plants. Everything is in an Ibur state. And then Nisan comes, everything is birth. Okay. So what's... What? No, it's not even. As I go back from Test Vav of...
It's 40 days.
To Elul, to Tisha, to Chesed, to Kislev, to Tevis, to Shvat, to Adar, to Nisan. It's 8 months. 8 in a few days. So you have already a 9 months.
8 months is the issue. 8 months.
It's a little premature. No, the Bria was not perfect.
No, the 8 months
was destroyed.
8 months can survive. No,
7 killed, 8 can't. I'm a stock. It's okay, it ends Shulas. Okay, no. Yeah. Okay.
The belt is Azibel.
Yeah. Okay, let's stop the Nakuda. What is it saying is, the Nakuda is a very, very omitik Nakuda. Because when you think about Chodesh Elul, that Chodesh Elul is Be'etzem, it's the time of Yitzir Zavlad. So what does it mean? What does it mean? And what does it have to do with Aktaris HaMelech? Tamchuni Aleichem. And the Bechida upon him. That there's another time in the year that we do a very similar thing to Elul, and some people make a mistake that it's mamash the same thing, but it's not. But Iyar seems to be very similar to Elul. You're also working on your midas and every day chesed. So it seems that Chodesh Elul is like the same thing, like you're doing Cheshbon Nefesh. It seems to be the same thing, but it's mamash a different thing. It's a very different thing. Chodesh Elul is achashalti. There's pratim of your life, there's details of your life. I'm a kas. I have to work on anger. I have to be more kinder. I have to be more patient. I have to be bigger savlon. There's certain midas that a person has to work on. That's in Chodesh Iyar. It's a tikkun on midas. So you work on your midas, and then should be amshacha bigger moichin, which is in Sivan, Matan Torah. So you can be a good mekabel to mekabel the moichin. Elul is a different cheshbon. Elul is it's the time of the Yitzir Savlad. You're not yet a child. You're not yet formed, but there's a beginning of the process. There's a Yitzir of this Vlad. So what does it mean? It means like this: that everything in the Bria was Ladaitam Nivru, Svyonim Nivru. Ladaitam Nivru means that it was created with your consent. Pshat is, and this is in the Panam upon. In the Acher Ba'acher, it's not negay, because your consent means whatever the Eibusher told you, that was your consent. In the Panam upon means, the Eibusher said, Ribbono Shel Olam said, I want to create this person named Chaim Yankel. He's going to be born in Tafshin Lamed Aleph in Boro Park. This is going to be his nose. This is going to be his eyes. This is going to be his mouth. This is going to be his family. This is going to be his brother. This is going to be his sister. This is going to be his mother, his father. This is the person I want to create. Why? Why do I want to create this Chaim Yankel? Because I have a desire, Kaviyachol, to have a relationship panam with this person. And I want this person to have a panam relationship with me. I want to be a melech. I don't want to be a moishel. I want to be a melech. And a melech below yom. I have a tafkid in this world. And this tafkid could only be fulfilled by this guy, this Chaim Yankel. The whole Bria, B'shvil Nivra Olam, before that Chaim Yankel, without this Chaim Yankel, the whole Bria is not complete. And what's the kavan over here? The kavan is that when we say that L'daitam Nivra means that Chaim Yankel, in the month of Elul, can come in front of the Eibusher and say, Emestaka. It's true that the whole Bria, forget about the whole Bria, even my Bria, I'm needed. I need to do something for you, and I'm doing it for you. You created me for a tafkid. And I'm, in the month of Elul, justifying my existence in front of the Eibusher. That's Tamchunim Leichem. That's what it means that the Eibusher is a melech. That I can come with emes in front of the Eibusher and tell him, stand in front of the Ribbono Shel Olam, panim al panim, and say that you believed in me, and therefore you created me, and I'm doing your job. And that's why I need to have another year. And that's why I need to have all my needs being taken care of, because I need to do a task for you. And this is, if you think about it, this is the Yitzir Savla. The Yitzir Savla means I'm not dealing with this midah and that midah, one specific thing, another specific thing. I'm talking about my whole mahus, my mahus adam. Who am I? Who am I in this world? Could I come in front of the Ribbono Shel Olam and justify my entire existence? Not the pratim of my existence, not I don't get angry, I daven 3 times the minute. There's a pratim. I'm talking about your metzius. Can I come honestly in front of the Eibush and say, Hen, L'daitem Nivru, I need to be here because you need me here. When you say Hamelech, in some of the Sidurim, in the Chabad Sidurim, brings down from Aaron Karlin, that whenever Aaron Karlin used to say Hamelech, he used to remember he reminded the Gemara in Gittin that says, with the Vespasian, when they came to Vespasian, it says, Im Malka Noah, if I'm Taka Hamelech, where were you the whole year? What does that mean? What does it mean if I'm a king? If you Taka believe, and you Taka have this experience, this once a year, Taka Rosh Hashanah, you have this experience upon him, you actually realize that Taka, I'm Taka here for a tafkid. The Eibusher needs me for something. So what were you doing the rest of the year? Why are you playing around? Why are you wasting your time? And this is why Rosh Hashanah is a Yom Oyim V'Noira. It's not a sad day, but it's Oyim V'Noira. If you think about this, if you're honest, if a person that has any integrity, if you have any emes, could you actually come in front of the Eibusher and say, actually, yeah, I'm doing exactly what you want me to do. You needed me, and I'm doing your job. This is the panim upon him. This is the face-to-face relationship. And this is what Eibush is a melech at this time. We're not talking about Avinu Malke, Avinu. Eibush is also a father, but at Rosh Hashanah is Tamchuni Aleichem, is Achtaras HaMelech. That the whole idea.
What happens after Rosh Hashanah?
Because Rosh Hashanah is the Bris Adam. That's when there's the Yitzir of Vlad. There's the finding of Vlad is a Vlad. Today's your birthday. Today you're born. Today you became a Vlad. Of Lachal Kayam. That's a chiluk between Koidim Aboyim and Lacher. That it's a Lachal Kayam, and Halacha, Api Halacha has different definitions. So once you became a Metzias, why? This is your din. This is the din. The din is, do you deserve it? No, I'm in the middle of doing it. I'm in the middle of the job. What's that? The din is now. The Elul is a time that you're thinking about your life. Then it finally comes Rosh Hashanah, and there's Yitzir Savlad. You can come in front of the Ribbono Shel Olam Rosh Hashanah and say, "This is my life. I accept." Means to be. It's a new year. Every day, every second. I'm ready to accept you, to live my life fully the way you want me to live. Elul is the achana to try to reorient yourself. What are you doing? You're preparing yourself that you finally can come in front of the king and say, I accept fully my life and I know what I have to be doing in this world. No, not the pratim, no. It's not negate the pratim. It's the tshuva of Elul is not. It's not pratim.
What's a melech?
It's the nekuda.
It's the concept.
Same thing. Same as it's the melech. It's not about the pratim. It's like the child that comes to you. But it's a child. We don't have a king. A child comes to you, or someone that works for you, and says, "I understand now what I have to be doing." Okay, I messed up here. I'll do all that. I'll deal with those things. That's the next prop. The first thing is I'm here. Yeah.
I'll take care of that.
So it's a percent.
So in other words,
but they say,
have to go through all Gordon to do it.
But the nekuda of the valuation is to get to the achashalti.
Right.
Achashalti Hashem. What I need is achashalti Hashem. Avada. Yeah, but don't start working on the product. Yeah, that's after. After Rosh Hashanah is taka avodas hatshuva. After you're ready. Okay, taka do all this hatshuva for this thing and that thing.
I'm ready to do.
I'm ready to do. Asar Yisrael Tshuva is a tshuva.
What is it that Hashem wants? Like if somebody told me there's White House, and Hashem, let's say this is the White House of Hashem, and there is a restroom that needs to be cleaned.
Yeah.
And there's also the right hand of the guy who sits by the Oval Office.
Correct.
So the guy goes through the Elul and comes to Rosh Hashanah and says, "You need me, right?" But where is he standing? Is he standing in the toilet to clean the toilet? But
I don't know. That's well, that's a good marshal. But I want to say the Eibusher has different people. One person has to clean the toilet also. It's a very chashuv thing.
How does he bring himself out?
But you have to just know you're standing in front of the king, which means I'm here, and I know that I have a job in this world.
Cleaning the toilet, that's what I'm here for.
Could be. Maybe the Eibusher wants you to clean the toilet. Don't. Someone has to clean the toilet.
No, I'm just saying. This is my somebody gave me.
But in other words, you have to know what you're good at.
That's the whole question. How does he that it's the cleaning the toilet? He's the guy who's in din right now.
Or you're asking because cleaning the toilet is like
he's in there.
still in the kid.
He's in there, and he wants to come out.
He has to find. Listen, I'm not saying you don't have to do any truth. The point is, it's not that you don't have to do any evaluation. Of course, that's your soul searching. That's what Elul is. But your nakuda is not in the details. Don't get stuck. You know, I've started thinking, Taka, this is my problem. I'm always dealing with this, and I'm always angry, and I'm always late to davening. This is all my and you focus on that, and you're trying to work in that midah. That's for a different time. That's not for Elul. Elul is this is Taka wrong, and this is what I am, and I'm here. Achashalt, I'm present, and I know I have a tafkid, and I feel my tafkid. I know what my tafkid is.
So what
And I'll
point,
take
That's it.
the details after.
what point do you start to cry? Rosh Hashanah, you start
So I want to tell you about the Rosh Hashanah, crying. But one second. The crying of Rosh Hashanah.
What is that to Rosh Hashanah? What happens on Rosh Hashanah?
The Acher B'Acher in the time before it's mamish that night. It's not mamish El, but that the kuda is that's when you're longing. There's a chukka, there's a yearning that I want to stand in front of the Eibush upon him. I want to have a real relationship. Rosh Hashanah by day. When I cry in the shofar, that's the bechin of upon him. No, wait, that's afterwards. Only afterwards. Through choice. Through choice. Yes, through choice. Wait, then later. But first you have to choose. Yes, but that's later. First thing you have to choose. No, the higher level is not the higher level is not a problem with din. The problem is not din. Yeah, the higher level of din is a different type of din. It's not din it's not din that's negative. It's just din that's automatic. There's no choice. There's no movement.
What is that? It's anything you get, you get.
The whole year is over.
No. We're asking so many questions. One second. There's too many things going on here. First of all, everything that happens on Rosh Hashanah, like it says clearly in Kisar AriZal's, a few places, everything that happens on Rosh Hashanah, Be'etzem really happens every day. When a person goes to sleep, by Shemona Esrei, when a person goes to sleep, it's Acher B'Acher, Neshama Ba'ape, then there's Ponim upon him, Yoresh upon him, Lecha, Ponim upon him, Dibra Lekim, there's these galas. Every single day.
There's also the morning.
There's a seer. When you go to sleep, there's a shikul. The seer is by night. The seer is by night. You're going to sleep. There's talkas hamoichin. It's the same. It's a zoyer up and what happens.
When happens the Put?
Shemona Esrei. Yeah. So you come to Panim. You're moving closer. Then you find the yichud in Shemona Esrei. Yeah. Then there's one klolastic Indian, which is it's not parts of a yomim, but it's parts of a zmanim, which means in the cycle of time, this full concept of the Nesira happens on Rosh Hashanah by night. First night, and then there's the awakening is by Tkiyah Shofar. That's why according to, you don't go to sleep on Rosh Hashanah. Dafka, it says, I know it says the Shulchan Aruch different opinions when you should, if you're allowed, but the AriZal Dafka went to sleep after Shofar. He did go because after the Shofar there's already no the mitzvah, so it's ready. Everything's awake. There's no problem with sleeping. Huh? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, correct. That's what I'm saying. But according to the Ari, you're allowed to sleep after the shofar because that's not the problem anymore. Yeah, they blew early. Fine.
He didn't sleep at night.
Second, it depends. It depends. This shows a clock. That's not a clock. Yeah, whatever. But the concept of sleeping. That's correct. It's a yearning. It's the yearning to connect again to Panama Bottom. This is the process.
Because the yearning comes the light. The whole iron and the light, there was no yearning. Okay, listen.
This is very, very bechlolos. I just want to give you a general picture to understand what Rosh Hashanah is about.
One sheet for 8 weeks.
Exactly. We're trying to pack it in everything in one thing. The idea of Rosh Hashanah is basically, it should be a... Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the oyemness and the awe, it's not sad. When it says about the AriZal that he cried, that it doesn't say that he cried. Lashon of the Ari is that Lashon of Chaim Vital is that Kol Mishena B'chia Nefelas Olav B'Yom Elul. It's not that you're crying. It's B'chia Nefelas Olav. It's not that you decide, okay, it's mamish, I'm going to cry now. No, then you don't have the whole thing. The thing is that you're in such a state of awe, such a year. It's like it's a pachad noira. It's taka pachad noira. If you think about Rosh Hashanah, it's a pachad noira. Why is it pachad noira? Because this is the emes. Where bist du?
Should you think that, I'm going right now in front of the judge?
Exactly.
You have to think that way?
You are, thinking. You're coming. You have to feel it, not think it. You're experiencing now the justification on your life. The stempel is going to say, L'chaim L'mav is L'chas Shalom. Doesn't mean L'chas Shalom. It means, but this is the time. This is the moment of truth. The B'chia, the AriZal writes that when a person is judged, it's B'chia. It says, how do you know when he's judged? If you judge the first day, if there's the din on the first day, the second day, or when exactly, whenever B'chia Nefel Salav, that's the right, that there was a din. Whenever there's a cry, what does it mean there's a tear? The tear doesn't mean also, you're like, wow, that's the tear. That moment is when that's the connection. That's the whole Nekudah. That's the Rosh Hashanah. That Rosh Hashanah, that's 2 seconds. Huh?
We don't feel it.
You're going to feel it this year. You're going to go in proper with proper kavanah. You're going to feel it. Why shouldn't you feel it? The AriZal says, "Ein nishmas shlema." Has du schon gesehen nishmas shlema? Today, maybe you can cry that you don't feel it.
I can understand why he says you're not allowed to cry.
Right.
If you cry, it's your ratzon.
Right, you're not allowed to cry. Yeah, you're not allowed to. Has to come on its own. Huh? Just think about it. Yep, it's a good child. No, what's the answer?
Guys on board.
Yeah, no.
Guys on game.
Then you're not. If you say that, then you don't experience Rosh Hashanah.
I didn't say.
You have to take it. This is taking. This is Emes Hashanah.
Will the Revenu Shalom auch der soll sein, du, zusammen ziehen.
Avada Villa, but the question is, you have to say that. You have to take it justly. You have to take a thing. Taka, what am I doing in this world? Taka, what's Taka? It's Oyev and Noira. It's Oyev and Noira. I'm telling you, it's Oyev and Noira. He says, "Ein Shmas Shleimah." He says every person can feel this. Pashta Zachen for Kinderspiel. Every kid can feel this.
How do you bring the Shem Havaya to change the whole thing?
Through the shofar.
So what we go through that whole, that's what's going on, right? The whole Rosh Hashanah,
You bring
the whole
them in,
day,
yes.
Hashem created the world with the whole thing.
And you bring in chasadim, yeah.
That Rachamim is what brings the person out of the din.
That's correct.
So how does he do it?
Through the shofar.
So okay, the shofar goes out every year. What do you need?
No,
to do?
the tshuka, the desire, the yearning to be upon him. The yearning that you want to be face to face. That's the tikkun of the din. That brings out the din. Everything it works. It works. There's Allah's man and Amshachas man. You bring this oil, you bring it up, then the shofar comes down. When you yearn out of your own tsaris, your own constriction from a place of constriction, you're moisa nafshay, then there's a gilu of
You have
rachamim.
to justify yourself why.
Yes,
why
during
it's
this
a
time.
good idea for Hashem.
Not a good idea, an excellent idea.
An excellent idea for Hashem to keep up.
Of course, the Eibusha made it, so it's obviously an excellent
You
idea.
have to be moichel your own chatuim. You have to.
No, I said that's easy. That's cheap. That's cheap. Well, okay, everything's good. Okay, I said it's a vinu. It's not okay. It's not a vinu. It's makenu. Don't come to the David. Moichel Solech. No, he's a melech. There's no chachdus. Afterwards, you'll talk about the vinu makenu. Huh? And Spetter there's a little avinu, but there's also listen. There's a nekuda of avinu, but the ikar of Rosh Hashanah is makenu. Malchus. It's Lachs Malchus.
The Rebbe says the Shepherd love off.
Aber steht bei Evi, der Tzadikim. Amos. The Gra writes it, the Magid writes it, the same thing. That Sifr Shal Tzadikim, Sifr Shal Misim, that it says the Svarim are open. Which Svarim? So in Sefer Yitzir it says B'Sefer. The different gersois, and according to the Gra, it's B'Sefer. It's two Svarim. What's two Svarim? One Sefer is your Moyach. Pashut, your everything that you wrote in your story isn't that Sefer. The Marabi Panu writes that what's Pshat Gehenim and Gan Eden. This is all your machshavet, the Burim and Maisim is niklat in your aver. He calls it the aver, but it's like your moyach. Everything is there, and l'asad lavid is no longer filtered. Everything becomes revealed. So pshat is, and what happens in Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah is like this. There's a sefer Mumayla. Before he came down to this world, there was a sefer. There was a book. Huh? Yeah. Right, the same thing. So you said like this, that before a person comes down Lamata, the Sefer says, I need Chaim Yaakov to be born, Tov Shalom and Aleph, and he should be born, Boro Park, and this is what he has to do, and it's gewaldig. And the whole Bria is totally in this character. Yeah? So the whole Bria, the whole world cannot be different. This is the birthday of this person. And I need him. This is what he's going to do, this is going to achieve. Then there's a Sefer that we write. Today I was kratzing in the mikveh a little longer, and today the Lashon Hara and this and that. This is the Sefer that you write. And Rosh Hashanah, the two Svarim are aligned. This is the Sefer, this is the Sefer. Oh
my gosh.
Mishkasha, oy vey. What has happened there?
They missed the train. That's
this is the Sefer. This is Taka what it is, and that's why Taka the Tzadikim say that in Rosh Hashanah it's very important that a person should have good machshavas. Because you need them Basher Shom. You have to do tshuva, and that's not a shaila, but of course, but Basher Shom, you have to say Taka. From now on, I got it. I got the message. It's clear to me. I understand what I have to be doing. Huh?
See, I could add many places.
So the whole book is shown to you again on Rosh Hashanah.
Exactly, and you have to line it. You have to line the two books, and you have to be honest about it. Yeah.
You're not supposed to think negative things. Where was wrong?
Forget it. Rosh Hashanah there's no chet. Rosh Hashanah is no chet. Rosh Hashanah you talk about chatoim is nothing. The Lashon Hatur in the Medrash about Rosh Hashanah is that everyone comes is loishin leveinim, is hatim leveinim, right? He should boitchin that they're going to have a good nitzachon in the verdict. It's a Lashon, which means Lashon Medrash. Amos, the dik is the Amos. The Amos, correct.
Put yourself in the countless.
In the now. Amos. Yeah. Huh?
Some exercise.
Okay, we'll do something. It's a little bit mamish, a little. Avada, Melech. The whole thing is Malchus. Yeah. No, but this is you're getting connected to the Melech. The Melech has a mandate, has an order, has a marching order. The Melech needs you. It's not I forgive you, whatever you do. No, the Pansach is already in the second. The first is Melech Basana. Melech Basana is you give him Sarach. This is Galus and Melech. But the Malchus is there. Yeah, but the Melech, the Alter Rebbe makes a knetch that is Mara upon him Soichikos. And the king is stuck a king, but listen, he's stuck he's 40 father. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hashem wants the guy who's right now, let's say for cleaning and stuff. He wants him to have the longing
to get out of the toilet.
That's what Hashem wants.
Yes, of course. To live your bigger self.
I want to come out of here.
I want to be higher. I want to live stronger. I want to be bigger.
How does he come out of it? That's what Hashem has to help him.
You bring out the shofar.
You belonging, then I want to come out.
That's what happens. David should take you out.
I want to be next to you.
That's what happens, Rosh Hashanah.
That's
what happens.
That's all you have to
The Zohar says that the shofar malamata, the shofar below, awakens the shofar above, which is bina, which is chaos. You long, You desire, and the Eibusher gives you
So the
the
whole
clean.
Chodesh Elul, you have to show Hashem, hey, I want to be.
That's correct. I want
wanna
to be who I should really be.
Who I want to be.
That's correct. Get me out of this.
And that's what the whole thing is.
Correct.
That's what it is. Not that you come out. Just you show that I want to come out.
He's talking about if a person's in the toilet. Right, but not about the details. I'm stuck. I need to get out.
First we get out,
Okay.
then we'll take care of it.
Exactly. Get out. Get straight.
It's very important. Can you explain that a little bit?
It's
Ikar, no?
a little.
That's the whole idea of Rosh Hashanah.
There's a the olam haza is nivra midas hachesed, but I don't want to get into it because midas adin in essence is actually not negative. It's not bad. It's only because we are weak and we created with things that we can't be din. In the highest level, everything should be din, which means din means that when a person does a mitzvah, they feel immediately connected to the Eibusher. When a person steals, their hand falls off. That's midas adin. But when you're living on that madrega and you're taka in 100% order, so then that's taka way to live. You don't need any compassion from the Eibusher. You do exactly what he wants, so there's no reason for any chesed. What any chesed? Chesed is only, it's like in case you mess up, so the Hashem forgives you. Why should he forgive? There's no forgiveness. You're doing exactly your order.
You choose to go back to the hand of the Father.
That's correct.
You choose to go back.
Correct, but you're choosing it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You gotta not be on your own.
That's
and
correct.
You thought it was good for you.
That's correct, but you're choosing it. Okay. We covered at least half the Elul. Yankee, definitely. We'll do it.
That's experience, the sound of the show.
There's also a whole nother Nakuda we didn't talk about. I thought to talk about it, but it's not in the game now. Yeah, but that the Etzem Shoifer is connected with Dibur, with Koil, and El is connected with silence. That El is talking the idea of silence. That's why people have Tanis Dibur. What's the Hashem?
Why Basila is silence?
It has nothing to do with Basila. It has to do with the Chaldi. El is a way of silence. It's also the letter Yud. Okay, but let's think about something else. Elul, we'll do a little something. What should we do? Well, I think something else, like this. What's Pano Pano? The idea, Reb Eger, when he came back to his father after he became a chassid from the Kotzker, his father asked him, "What did you learn in Kotzk that was so negay?" His father said, "Shivanim." That you had to ruin the whole the Kivega's family, that you became a chassid, not from the Kotzker. So he said that he learned three things. That there's a chilik between a ben Adam and a malach. The second thing is that a person, if he wants, can be higher than a malach. And the third thing is Bereshis Bar Lakim. Bereshis Bar Lakim, you learn the Kotz, that's the Kotz. He said that in Kotz, the Mendel is to teach the pasuk like this: Bereshis Bar Lakim. Reishis, anfangs, the Eibusher creates. Which means, Hascholus, Hashem gives you koyach to start new. But how you finish, that's the nekuda. That's where the choice is. Everyone's very good at making good achlatas, good resolutions. This year is going to be a gewaldige year. It's going to be a gewaldige year, and it should be a gewaldige year, and it should be Rosh Hashanah, it should be this kavana. But there's you have to know how to finish. How do you finish? You have to do amtaka. You have to bring in the whole year. So there's a word by the Rebbe Rayatz. He says that today's Chayal. If you're not familiar, today's Chayal. Today's a very big day. It's the art center of the Maral. It's the Yemeledus of the Balatani and the Balshem. So the Rebbe Rayatz says that the final days of El, the last 12 days of El correspond to the 12 months of the year. And a person should do a cheshbon nefesh every single day on the final 12 days of Elul for 1 month of the year. So pshat is that you have to connect, realize. It's a little bit different than we spoke before, but this is the same. You have to understand that it's connected to deal with the past in order to start a new beginning. How are you going to do things differently? So we're going to do a practice now. I'm going to do it like this. I'm not going to explain you b'oimek every single detail, how every single month is negea, but we're going to go through month by month. And every month has certain, if you learn a little Sefer Yitzir, or so even the Bnei Yisachar, some priors, there's every month has a koyach. There's a certain chush that's connected to the month, and there's yud base pshutas of the aleph base that's connected. Each one is connected to another month, and the shvatim is connected. There's a whole torah of every month that's connected. And instead of telling you what Nisan is and all the torah, I'm going to give you one nakuda, and I want you to think about, first of all, if it's possible to think about that month. So we'll start with Tishrei last year. Think about Tishrei last year. And I'll tell you a little something about Tishrei, what Tishrei represents also. And you have to think in the last year about this issue throughout your life. Let's say if Tishrei, we'll make it very, very simple. Let's say Tishrei is a time that you take new achlotas, you take new resolutions. And last Tishrei you decided, you remember you had the same kavana, your mama said this year you're going to be a tzaddik. So think about the things that happened this past year, the different achlotas that you took upon yourself in this past year, whether you fulfilled them, you didn't fulfill them, you're matzliach in them, more matzliach, you follow? Just to do it. Then the same, Cheshvan is another thing we'll talk about. Cheshvan is year, and every month we'll do the 12 months of the year. So we're going to go this slowly, and you have to think about two things. First of all, what actually in that month, if you remember something about that month, and also what that nekuda that month that was relevant to all the other months of the year, relates to all the months of the year. And we're going to do a tshuva for the entire year in 10 minutes. Not much like that. Ready?
Yes. Again. So after noticing how it relates in my year, what do I do after?
Was ist das? Wann kommt das? Ja, you know what this is?
I think it's a system, make it 20 minutes.
So you try to think about the thing and make an achlata that make a new resolution that this year you're going to be different. These things in your life you're going to deal with it differently. Like a tshuva. Correct. You're following? A tshuva, a very quick tshuva. This is the things that I dealt with. This is the way I dealt with them. This year I'm going to do with them differently. We're trying to make mamash tzaddikim gemurim in the next 20 minutes. And mamash, we're going to be entering your Rosh Hashanah zoiche bedin immediately. No dinim. Okay, Seder? Where's Yankee? You're ready. Is it ready? Okay. So if you know already what we do, you close your eyes. That's for now. It's going to be a whole. This is where it's going to be a whole thing. Just close your eyes for now. Just relax. Just think what I'm going to tell you what to think about. So you think about this thing. Just relax. Don't deal with your machshavas that come up. Any thoughts that come up, just observe them. Don't push them aside. Just pretend this is going to be his bonus more. I want you to go through. We're going to go through slowly the months in the year. And you'll think about what happened through this month and think about, first of all, how you dealt with this issue, and then to make a positive achlata to deal with it in a much better way. Okay, we're going to start. First, we'll take a few breaths, just gently, a few breaths. We'll start with last year, Chodesh Tishrei. So you can think about the different achlotas or different resolutions that you took upon yourself last Tishrei that you're going to do, and that you're going to be better. You can think about actually the way you've experienced your Rosh Hashanah last year, Yom Kippur last year, your Sukkot, Shmini Atzeres, Shana Rabbim, Sebastera. Maybe there was Yisairis last year. You felt very connected. And you have to see whether you follow through with those things that you promise yourself you're going to do. And you can also think about all those things that happen throughout the entire year. It could be things that happen at Tevis and other, whenever it happened, something happened in your life and you made a certain achlata to help someone, to be there for someone, to be there for yourself, to daven longer, to have more kavanah, whatever it was. So you, after you accept it, you're makabel yourself now, accept upon yourself now that this year is going to be different. Not this year, mamash, from now, from this moment. It's this clarity and understand how you're going to deal with these things. And now you're takamina with an emes. Move into Chodesh Cheshvan. Cheshvan is a time, it's Chosh, it's a very quiet month. It's a time of transition. You can think about the actual month of Chodesh Cheshvan last year and also think about different things that happen in your life, different transitions. Maybe a chasana, a child was born, things that change in your life and how you dealt with those issues. To see if you dealt with them correctly, to own that. And to make achlata again, also to resolve that this year you're going to do it in a different way, in a better way, in a healthier way. Think of Chodesh Kislev. Kislev is a Chodesh of Nisim, or even when it appears dark, there was a little pach shemen, little light, creating a lot of light, a lot of oil. Think about the things that happened in your life that seemed dark, and then there was oil that came through it. And if you appreciate it when it happened, sometimes it was not clear, and then it became clear. And if you gave sharach v'edah, bahal v'edah, if you're grateful and thankful, you can resolve also to make again a achlata that it should be better this year and you're going to do it differently, and because now you understand and it's clear to you that you're going to be more thankful and more hadah to the Eibishter for all the matanas and all the gifts that Hashem continuously gives you, all the gifts that you have in your life. Which leads to Chodesh Tevis. Tevis is a month, it's a month that's connected with relationships, with people. Think about how you dealt with people in your lives, how you dealt with your parents or your siblings or your wives or your children. And if it was the best possible way that you can deal with this. And you can think about throughout the year, maybe there was things that weren't correct, that weren't done in a good way. Make a achlata also, this year is going to be different. Move into the koyach of the Shvat, energy connected with Shvat, which is the things in our life, objects, also connected with food, achila, our relationship with food. Think about how we relate to our food that we eat. If it's done with kavana, if it's done with intention, and if mechavana with a bracha, if we have proper intention. Do we chap food? Do we eat food properly? The same thing also to make achlata about this. How are you going to relate to these things in your life with an Aaronskite? The kedushas achila. It's not what you eat only, but how you eat. With the Chodesh Adar, there's two others, a lot of joy, a lot of simcha. Think about the things that brought you joy in this past year, brought you happiness. Think about the choice that you have always to be over the Shem the Simcha. To always be happy, to work on your happiness. And the choice that you can make to be happy, but really happy. With the Chodesh Nisan, Chodesh HaGeula, it's a month of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the going out of Egypt, the going out of all our constrictions and limitations. To think about in that past year, during Nisan, think about Nisan or anything that happened throughout the year, where you felt that you were nigal, you were redeemed from your golus, aprati, your own limitations, your own galus. And also if you're thankful and you're aware of it, or you just let it pass. Chodesh Shiur is Chodesh Refuah. It's a month of healing. It's Refuah Nefesh and Refuah Guf. It's healing for the body and the soul. Healing means integration, connection. Think about things that happened throughout the year where there was chas v'sholom illness for you or someone that you loved, and how you dealt with it. Sometimes these things bring out the better part of us. And again, make the achlata that you're going to deal with it in a much better way, in a holier way, in a deeper way. Chodesh Sivan is the month of Matan Torah, the month that we receive all the wisdom the entire year. Let's think about the things that you learned this year, how you grew in your learning. How you're going to learn better this year, and learn more this year. And make a proper achlata for that. Chodesh Tammuz, the month of destruction, the Churban, Schals HaChurban. Think about the things that were broken this year. Or maybe different experiences that you had with people that passed on this year, people that you know, people you're connected to, and how did you deal with it? You can do a tshuva with that also. Chodesh Av, the second part of Chodesh Av is a tikkun already. When there's a Chalas HaYichud, beginning of a reconciliation, when things are returning back to their proper order, everything's going back to its proper state. So again, you can think about in the past year things that happened in your life. Where there was a fixing and how you dealt with it. Then finally Chodesh Elul, back to Chodesh Elul, the month where Hashem, the month that we're trying to reorient ourselves to be in the proper position that we're Neichel Pnei Hashem, and the resolution of achlatas and everything that we take upon ourselves in Elul, that this year is going to be a completely different year. They look at tzaddik and ladies from Aditya every night before he used to go to sleep. Saying, morgen wird sein gar anders. Tomorrow's going to be a very different day. And then he would say, even though I said this yesterday, aber heute meine ich mit Anemes. Today I really mean it. This is the Chodesh Elul, really mean it. That this year is going to be a gewaldige year. We're going to have a little pratis and a little klolis. Im Heer v'yameina. Open your eyes. Yeah. Better time.
Heute Einland rein.
Yeah, I don't mind, yeah.
So, Maß hätte ich heute geschafft, hier right after this food task. Weißt du was? Ja, mit dieser.
Ja.
Abgenommen.
Hab ich schon mal was, oder?
Ah, du hast einen Namen. So, wie sollte ich das mal so aufgenommen? Besser.
Du hast meinen Zelf genommen?
Ja, ja.
Aber ich habe schon gegeben. So, das ist
Anders geen flasje van mij.
Okay, beside it. Nog Rosh Hashanah.
Steeds maar chill.
You send me that file.
I'm not sure